Well met, my friends. Today we will be looking at the character history of Dain IronFoot. Dain IronFoot was a dwarf responsible for the building and holding of Erebor in the north against Sauron's forces. His journey starts in the Iron Hills, born in 2767 of the Third Age, just 3 years before Smaug takes Erebor and the Lonely Mountain. It was at the Battle of Azon-u-Bazar, more commonly known as the Battle of Moria, however, where he truly earned his name. Taken from Appendix A of The Return of the King, Dain found his name after avenging his father Nain by killing Azog, the Lord of Orcs in Moria. A passage from the novel from moments after Azog takes the head of Nain states, "Then Azog laughed, and he lifted up his head to let forth a great yell of triumph. But the cry died in his throat, for he saw that all his host in the valley was a rat. For the dwarves went this way and that, slaying as they would, and those that could escape from them went flying south, shrieking as they ran. And hard by all the soldiers of his guard lay dead. He turned and fled back towards the gate, and up the steps after him leaped a dwarf with a red axe. It was Dain IronFoot, Nain's son. Right before the doors he caught Azog, and there he slew him, and hewed off his head. After this, Dain and the others of Thror's company staked Azog's head on a spike, and in one final act of vengeance for the deceased Thror, stuffed coins in the mouth of an orc. See, in the year 2790 of the Third Age, Thror and his friend Nar tried to take back Khazad-dûm, and when confronted by Azog, Thror offered coins, but was instead slaughtered and hacked to pieces by the orcs. And the coins were returned to Nar with the message that all beggars who shall enter Moria shall meet a similar fate. And these beggars were just coined in the eyes of Azog, so any dwarves would be considered beggars. Dain IronFoot, who earned his honor and name at age 32, was now in high regard among the dwarves after this battle passed. Years later, the coming of Rolok the Raven to the Iron Hills would muster a legion of 500 dwarves of that land to go to the aid of Thorin Oakenshield during the Battle of the Five Armies, arriving right before the onslaught of the battle. Dain, Thranduil, and Bard came to an agreement to fight for the free peoples. This is when Thorin was still alive, but within Erebor. After the fighting ceased, Dain crowned the chief of the Eagles, possibly Gwaihir, with gold and a pact of friendship for the rest of the ages. Dain gives the men of Lake Town 14th share of Erebor's gold to rebuild both Dale and Lake Town. He offers Bilbo a greater share of the gold than was agreed upon in the Shire, but the Hobbit politely declines the new Dwarf King. In the early days of the War of the Ring, Balin requests a company of dwarves to assist him in reclaiming Khazad-dûm. However, Dain was the only dwarf to actually see within the halls of Khazad-dûm at the Battle of Moria. So after possibly seeing the Balrog, also known as Durin's Bane, Dain declines Balin's request, but Balin insists and goes anyway with a few other dwarves. He is never heard again by any dwarf after that point. A few months before the Council of Elrond, Dain was approached by a messenger from Mordor, possibly a Nazgul. This messenger offers Dain 3 of the dwarf rings, 3 of the 7 dwarf rings. The other 4 were presumably lost within the dragon's stomachs or in golden hoards throughout the ages. The messenger offers these rings of power and the entirety of Moria if the dwarves of Erebor were to join the Dark Lord and tell him of the hobbits and of Bilbo Baggins. Dain refused the messenger, knowing the war that was to come by this rebellion. He then sends Glóin, Gimli's father, to Rivendell to consult with the Council of Elrond. Dain's final acts in Middle-earth were beside his people and the King Brand of Dale. Remember that this is after he declines to join Sauron, so Sauron had sent men of Run and of the east to the north, As Bran's people retreated from Run to the Northly Mountain, the two kings fought side by side as the ring in the south met its doom by two hobbits. The dwarf defended the defeated body of Brand until the bitter end. Dain was succeeded by his son Thorin III, and later his grandson Durin VII, who goes to actually reclaim Moria now that the Balrog is defeated. In my opinion, the story of Dain is both inspirational and sad, as this dwarf, just like Gimli, is one of the two most honorable in Tolkien's works and serves as a role model for the best dwarves in fiction. He proves his loyalty both to his kindred and his friends over the power of greed multiple times, until the very end. Dain meets his end through the depictions of his acts and virtues. He also prevented the taking of the North and is the reason that Erebor came to prosper again. Dain was 252 years old when he dies in 3819 of the Third Age. I think Gandalf says it best after hearing the news. I should call it a heavy loss, if it was not a wonder, rather that in his great age he could still wield his axe as mightily as they said he did, standing over the body of King Brand before the gates of Erebor until the darkness fell. Thank you for watching, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, please subscribe if you want more videos just like this, and hit that like button while you're at it.